How to Talk to the Universe is a self-help guide that explores the idea that our thoughts, intentions, and energy can influence the reality we experience. Rooted in principles of manifestation, the law of attraction, and spiritual alignment, this book aims to teach readers how to consciously communicate with the universe to attract abundance, love, health, and purpose into their lives. Introduction. How to Talk to the Universe introduces readers to the transformative idea that the universe is not a random, indifferent force but an intelligent, responsive presence that is constantly interacting with our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and intentions, whether we are aware of it or not. At the heart of the book lies a powerful spiritual and psychological premise. The energy we emit into the world, through our mindset, words, focus, and emotional state, acts like a signal that the universe interprets and responds to. Drawing upon principles from the law of attraction, quantum thinking, ancient spiritual traditions, and modern self-development theories, the book asserts that human beings are not merely passive observers of life but active co-creators, capable of shaping their external reality by adjusting their internal state. This concept is not new, but what sets this guide apart is its accessible, structured approach to teaching readers how to become deliberate communicators with the universe, replacing vague hope with intentional clarity. The universe, the author suggests, operates like a mirror, reflecting to us not what we want in theory but what we believe and feel in our core. If we constantly emit worry, fear, or self-doubt, we are likely to attract situations and experiences that align with those energies. Conversely, when we begin to tune our minds and hearts to frequencies of gratitude, love, abundance, and faith, we notice synchronicities, opportunities, and blessings that feel magical, but are in fact the natural result of energetic alignment. The book begins by inviting readers to examine their existing belief systems and to question the unconscious scripts they may be repeating every day, scripts that tell the universe who we are and what we expect from life. These patterns, often shaped in childhood or through societal conditioning, become invisible walls around our potential, and the first step in talking to the universe effectively is learning to dismantle those walls through awareness and intention. From there, the book offers practical, repeatable strategies for transforming one's energetic output, using affirmations not just as empty phrases but as emotionally charged declarations, visualizing outcomes not as distant fantasies but as real, emotionally felt experiences, journaling desires with present-tense certainty, and meditating to quiet the mind and tune into intuitive guidance. Another foundational idea presented in the introduction is that the universe is not bound by human timelines. It responds not to deadlines but to alignment. This means that cultivating patience, trust, and openness is just as important as setting clear goals. Many people sabotage their manifestations by doubting them or by trying to force outcomes too soon. The book encourages a shift from desperation to calm expectation, which shifts one's frequency from lack to abundance. Importantly, the author does not claim that talking to the universe guarantees a life without challenges. Instead, challenges are reframed as part of the conversation, a way the universe helps us grow, redirect, or become more aligned with our true path. The key message is not that we should manipulate the universe to fulfill every superficial want, but that we should co-create a life of meaning, joy, and truth by aligning with our deeper self. Furthermore, the introduction acknowledges the skepticism that some readers may bring to such concepts, especially those grounded in logic or science. Rather than dismissing this skepticism, the book encourages experimentation. Treat the universe as a willing partner, and test its responsiveness through intention, awareness, and gratitude. Many readers, the author suggests, will be surprised to discover just how quickly life begins to shift when they become mindful of the energy they project. Throughout the introduction, there's an emphasis on emotional vibrational states. How we feel, moment to moment, is a clearer indicator of what we're communicating to the universe than what we say aloud. It's not about positive thinking alone, but about cultivating genuine emotional alignment with one's desires. Talking to the universe, then, is less about performing a ritual and more about embodying a way of being, calm, confident, grateful, and open. The book invites readers into this new way of being with both practicality and inspiration, blending wisdom from multiple traditions and offering clear examples of how real people have used these principles to experience everything from new careers and loving relationships to healing and creative breakthroughs. At its core, the introduction serves as a call to empowerment. No matter your current circumstances, you could shift your energy and change the story you're telling the universe starting now. The universe, ever attentive, will answer, not always in the way you expect but always in the way you need. By the end of the introduction, the reader is not only intrigued but also equipped with a new lens through which to see their own life, as an unfolding dialogue with the infinite, waiting for them to speak with intention, listen with awareness and respond with inspired action. Chapter 1, What is the Universe Listening to? Lays the foundational framework for understanding how the universe interacts with human beings, not through spoken language or conscious declarations alone, but through a subtler, more energetic form of communication driven by our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and intentions. The chapter opens with a compelling assertion that the universe is not listening to our words in the way we assume it might, but rather to the dominant emotional frequencies we emit on a consistent basis. While people may believe they are asking for health, wealth, love, or peace with their words, the universe, defined in this book as a conscious, intelligent, energetic field that surrounds and permeates all existence, is instead responding to what lies beneath those words, to the emotions and subconscious patterns driving them. If someone says, "I want more money," but internally feels lack, desperation, or fear about finances, the vibrational signal sent to the universe is not one of abundance, but of scarcity. Therefore, the universe responds accordingly by reflecting more lack into their reality. This energetic mirroring, the author argues, is not punitive but neutral. It is simply the way energy functions in accordance with universal laws such as the law of attraction and the law of vibration. The chapter emphasizes that the universe is always on, always responding to the frequencies we send out, and that there is no such thing as an off switch to this interaction. Thus, learning to communicate effectively with the universe begins with understanding that every thought, belief, feeling, and assumption we carry is being interpreted as a directive. The author explains this with the metaphor of a radio. We are constantly broadcasting a signal, and the universe tunes in not to our stated desires but to the emotional energy behind those desires. For example, someone who desires a loving relationship may, consciously, say affirmations about love and partnership, but if they carry unresolved bitterness, fear of abandonment, or low self-worth, the signal the universe receives is muddled or even contradictory, resulting in confusing relationship patterns. Therefore, to change what the universe is hearing, one must first become aware of what they are broadcasting. The chapter dives deep into the mechanics of this process, introducing readers to the idea that thought is creative, but it is emotion that energizes thought, giving it momentum and magnetic power. Repetitive, emotionally charged thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs form the filter through which we experience reality. The universe listens most attentively to these belief-based vibrations, not fleeting wishes or declarations. The author introduces the concept of the subconscious mind as the programming center of our vibrational frequency. It is the subconscious that stores our deepest beliefs and assumptions, and it is these that the universe responds to most consistently. For instance, someone may want success consciously, but if they carry a subconscious belief that success leads to loneliness or judgment, they may unconsciously sabotage their opportunities, and the universe will seem to echo that resistance. Thus, the first step in talking to the universe effectively is not learning fancy manifestation techniques but developing a deeper self-awareness about the internal signals we send out through our feelings, thoughts, and habitual energy. The chapter urges readers to begin observing themselves not only during moments of spiritual practice or goal setting, but throughout the day. What do you feel when you pay a bill? When you look in the mirror? When you think about your future? These are all moments of communication with the universe, and each carries its own vibrational message. The author warns that this does not mean we must be perfect or joyful all the time, but it does mean we must become more intentional and honest about what we feel and believe. The universe does not judge, it reflects. As such, if we wish to receive different reflections in our life experience, we must change the input we are offering. The book introduces the practice of emotional awareness and vibrational inventory, essentially teaching readers to tune into what their dominant feelings are across different areas of life: money, love, health, purpose, and to identify where there are contradictions between what they say they want and what they actually feel about it. For example, if a person says, "I want to be healthy," but deep down feels unworthy of health, distrusts their body, or believes they are too far gone to change, that emotional state is the actual command being issued to the universe. From this standpoint, talking to the universe becomes less about verbal affirmations and more about emotional alignment. The chapter goes on to explore how vibrational signals can be unintentionally sabotaged by unconscious patterns, trauma, and conditioning picked up through family, culture, and past experiences. Many of our core beliefs about life, whether it is safe to be seen, whether success is sustainable, whether love is conditional, were formed early and now operate on autopilot, acting as background noise in our broadcast to the universe. The universe, ever responsive, matches us to experiences that affirm these core beliefs. This idea challenges readers to go beyond surface-level positivity and to begin reprogramming the subconscious through practices such as emotional healing, shadow work, and inner child connection, tools that are discussed in more detail later in the book. Another vital insight in this chapter is that the universe listens not just to individual thoughts and feelings but to consistency and repetition. An occasional burst of positive emotion is not enough to override months or years of self-doubt or fear. Consistency in energetic output is what creates lasting change. Just as one workout does not build a strong body, one day of high-vibration thinking does not build a magnetic field of abundance. The author encourages readers to commit to small, daily practices of alignment, whether that's morning gratitude, affirmations, breath work, or simply redirecting negative self-talk, because it is through repetition that the subconscious is reprogrammed and the vibrational field strengthened. Importantly, the chapter also touches on the emotional guidance system, a concept often associated with Abraham Hicks' teachings, which suggests that our emotions act as a compass indicating the degree of alignment or misalignment with our desires. Joy, enthusiasm, and love signal alignment, while shame, fear, and frustration suggest we are out of tune. The universe is not punishing us when we feel bad. It is simply showing us that our current vibration is not in harmony with our deeper desires. These emotional cues are messages, and by learning to interpret and respond to them wisely, we become better communicators with the universe. Toward the end of the chapter, the author reassures readers that this process is not about being emotionally perfect, but about cultivating greater presence and intention. The universe is forgiving, fluid, and ever-responsive. It does not hold grudges or fixate on the past. As soon as we shift our vibration, we shift the signal we are sending, and the universe begins to adjust accordingly. This means that real change can happen quickly, not because the universe suddenly starts listening, but because we finally begin broadcasting clearly. Whether we are conscious of it or not, we are always in dialogue with life, and this chapter's central aim is to awaken that awareness and to help readers take responsibility for the energy they are contributing to that ongoing conversation. The final takeaway from Chapter 1 is one of empowerment. We are not victims of fate or randomness, but participants in a dynamic energetic exchange with a universe that is not only listening, but responding in real time to our innermost vibration. When we begin to speak the language of energy, through emotion, intention, and belief, we step into our power as co-creators, able to influence our reality with clarity, confidence, and care. Chapter 2, The Power of Intention, dives deeply into the central role intention plays in our ability to consciously communicate with the universe and shape our reality, building upon the idea introduced earlier that the universe responds not to our words alone, but to the energy behind those words. This chapter explores intention as more than just wishful thinking or a fleeting desire. Instead, it defines intention as a deliberate, focused, emotionally aligned decision to create or experience something specific, guided by clarity, commitment, and faith. The author explains that intention acts as the blueprint for manifestation. It is the internal declaration that sets unseen forces into motion, organizing energy, people, and circumstances to align with the frequency we emit. Unlike vague hopes or passing wants, a true intention carries emotional weight, mental focus, and a vibrational clarity that the universe can read and begin to respond to with precision. The chapter illustrates how many people unknowingly block their own manifestations by being unclear, scattered, or half-hearted in their intentions, sending out mixed signals that confuse the universe. When we say we want something but hold doubts about our worthiness or shift our desires constantly without anchoring into one direction, the universe mirrors that confusion. Intention, then, is not simply about deciding what we want but aligning our entire being, our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions, with that decision, creating a unified vibrational frequency that invites the desired reality to unfold. The author emphasizes that powerful intentions are not desperate or grasping. They are calm, grounded, and trusting, rooted in the belief that what we ask for is already making its way toward us. This shift from want to knowing, from I hope to I am, is what transforms a passive wish into a magnetic force. The book explains that intention should be set not just once, but consciously and consistently reinforced, like tending a garden that must be watered regularly to grow. Intention is the seed, and the emotion we attach to it, joy, gratitude, faith, is the water and sunlight. Without nurturing emotion, intention remains dormant. The chapter also distinguishes between setting an intention and trying to control the outcome. True intention is about clarity and direction, not manipulation or force. It trusts the universe to handle the how and when, while the individual remains focused on the what and why. Many people become frustrated or disappointed because they confuse intention with control, trying to force events to unfold on their own rigid timelines, thereby slipping into anxiety, which weakens the vibrational signal they're sending. In contrast, someone who sets an intention from a place of inner peace is like a lighthouse, clear, steady, and confident that their signal will be seen and answered in due time. The chapter introduces readers to practical methods of setting powerful intentions, such as intention journaling, visualization, and morning rituals where one declares their focus for the day with clarity and gratitude. These tools help ground the intention into both the subconscious mind and the energetic field, increasing its effectiveness. The author also discusses the importance of combining intention with inspired action, not forced effort, but small steps taken in alignment with the desired outcome. Intention without action can become stagnation, while action without intention can lead to burnout. Together, they form a dynamic flow where the individual participates in the co-creation process rather than passively waiting for change. The chapter highlights the power of writing intentions in the present tense, as if they are already real, because this affirms belief and shifts one's identity to match the outcome, which accelerates manifestation. For example, rather than writing, "I want to be confident," one would write, "I am confident, I speak with ease and authenticity." This kind of intentional scripting helps rewire the subconscious mind and reinforces the emotional resonance needed to attract aligned experiences. The chapter also explores the subtle difference between setting an intention from a space of lack versus abundance. When intentions are rooted in fear, scarcity, or desperation, they carry a frequency that repels rather than attracts. Whereas intentions rooted in joy, trust, and alignment signal to the universe that we are ready and willing to receive. Readers are encouraged to check in with themselves emotionally before setting intentions. Am I setting this out of love and expansion or fear and lack? That emotional honesty ensures the signal we send is clean and coherent. Additionally, the chapter addresses the role of timing, reminding readers that just because something does not manifest immediately does not mean the intention has failed. Often, the universe is working behind the scenes, aligning people, opportunities, or even personal growth that must occur before the manifestation arrives. Trust in the unseen process is vital. The author introduces the phrase "this or something better" to release attachment to specific outcomes while remaining open to divine timing and higher possibilities. Intention, when combined with surrender, becomes an unstoppable force. The chapter closes by reaffirming the sacredness of intention, how even the smallest things, when infused with purpose and consciousness, become rituals of co-creation. Whether it's preparing a meal with love, beginning a project with vision, or waking up with a grateful heart, every act becomes a message to the universe about who we are and what we are ready to receive. In this way, intention is not only a tool for manifesting specific goals but also a way of living, one where we move through life with clarity, purpose, and deep alignment with our highest self. When we understand that the universe is always listening to the vibration behind our actions and desires, we begin to speak to it more deliberately, not with force, but with focused, emotionally grounded intention. This chapter encourages readers to reclaim their creative power by becoming more intentional in every aspect of their life and reminds us that when our desires are aligned with our inner truth, and our intentions are powered by belief and trust, the universe responds, sometimes quietly, sometimes dramatically, but always faithfully, to the energy we send forth. Chapter 3, Vibration and Frequency, serves as a critical turning point in the reader's understanding of how communication with the universe works. Not through language, effort, or even clear intention alone, but through the energetic frequency we emit at every moment of our lives. This chapter builds on the foundation of intention from the previous section and dives into the science and spirituality behind the concepts of vibration and frequency, explaining that everything in the universe, from physical matter to emotions and thoughts, is composed of energy vibrating at specific frequencies. According to the author, our personal frequency, often referred to as our vibe, is not some abstract idea but a real, measurable energy field that is constantly broadcasting a signal to the universe. This signal is not determined solely by what we say we want, but by what we feel most consistently, what we believe at the subconscious level, and what state of being we dwell in throughout the day. Just like a radio tower emits signals that attract certain stations, we emit vibrational energy that attracts experiences, people, opportunities, and even challenges that resonate with our current frequency. The chapter clarifies the difference between vibration and frequency. While vibration refers to the energy we are producing moment to moment, based on our emotions, thoughts, and bodily states, frequency is the dominant, habitual pattern we live in, our overall energetic home base. For instance, someone may have a moment of joy, but if they spend most of their time feeling stressed, anxious, or unworthy, their frequency is still low, and that becomes the energetic language the universe hears and responds to. The author stresses that this isn't about blame, but about empowerment, because once we become aware of our vibrational patterns, we gain the power to shift them intentionally and thus change the kinds of experiences life reflects to us. Throughout the chapter, the author presents the emotional guidance scale, a hierarchy of emotions ranging from low-frequency states like fear, guilt, shame, and anger, up to higher frequencies like love, peace, joy, gratitude, and empowerment. Each emotional state carries a distinct energetic vibration, and the higher we move up this scale, the more aligned we are with universal flow, synchronicity, and manifestation. When someone dwells in gratitude, for example, their body produces biochemical signals that promote well-being, their mind becomes more receptive, and their energetic field expands, making them more magnetic to positive outcomes. In contrast, when someone lives in fear or resentment, their energy contracts, their nervous system remains in survival mode, and they become less attuned to intuitive guidance and universal support. This emotional frequency acts as the real language we speak to the universe with. It bypasses words and speaks directly to the intelligent energy that surrounds us. The chapter discusses how this understanding is echoed across spiritual traditions and even modern science, referencing quantum physics concepts that suggest particles, and reality itself, respond to observation, intention, and vibration. While the book doesn't go too deeply into hard science, it makes the point that modern physics has begun to validate what mystics have always taught, that reality is fluid, and the observer influences what is observed. What does this mean practically? It means that when we raise our frequency, by choosing better thoughts, engaging in joyful action, releasing limiting beliefs, and tending to our emotional well-being, we shift the probability field of what the universe can deliver to us. The author shares that frequency isn't just about feeling good, but about being in integrity with your desires. You cannot desire a life of freedom and abundance while habitually vibrating at guilt, doubt, or self-hatred. There must be congruence between what you seek and the energetic field you emit. That congruence is what makes manifestations come not through force or struggle, but with flow. To begin shifting one's frequency, the book offers several practical tools and rituals. Mindfulness, gratitude journaling, visualization, movement such as dance or exercise, breath work, and affirmations that are emotionally believable and uplifting. These practices aren't magic spells but frequency adjusters. They help break old vibrational habits and introduce new, more aligned energetic signals. The chapter also introduces the concept of emotional momentum, where repeated emotional states, whether negative or positive, gain strength over time. Just like pushing a swing, every thought or feeling either contributes to or slows down your vibrational momentum. That's why catching negative thoughts early and shifting them gently, not by force but by guiding yourself up the emotional scale, is one of the most powerful vibrational practices. The author emphasizes that jumping from fear to joy is often too big a leap, so instead, we can move step by step, from fear to hope, from doubt to curiosity, from frustration to acceptance. These small shifts, practiced consistently, create an upward vibrational trend that changes the nature of our entire energetic signature. Another key insight in this chapter is that we don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. This means that wanting something is not enough if we don't vibrationally align with the version of ourselves who already has it. To align with love, we must embody love. To align with abundance, we must stop worshiping scarcity and start practicing appreciation. To align with healing, we must release the identity of being broken. The chapter invites readers to ask themselves, what would it feel like to already be the version of me who lives my desired reality? Then, from that feeling, to begin living as if, not in delusion but in vibrational preparation. This, the author explains, is one of the most direct ways to signal clearly to the universe that we are ready to receive. The chapter also addresses how environment and relationships impact our frequency. Just as we are vibrational beings, so is everyone around us, and our surroundings either support or suppress our natural frequency. Being around negative, complaining, or fearful people lowers our vibration, while being around uplifting, purposeful, and aligned individuals raises it. Therefore, part of vibrational mastery is not just internal work but external curation, choosing who and what we give our attention to, and setting energetic boundaries with anything that chronically lowers our state. Music, food, media, sleep, and physical spaces are all discussed as elements that influence vibration more than we realize, and readers are encouraged to audit these parts of their life with honesty and intention. Finally, the chapter concludes with the reassurance that we are never stuck in a fixed frequency. Just as a radio dial can be adjusted, so can our energy. And because the universe is always responding to our current broadcast, every shift we make, no matter how small, sends a new signal that invites fresh opportunities, people, and miracles into our field. The author emphasizes that frequency is our responsibility, but it is also our superpower. By learning to master it, we stop reacting to life and start creating it. The goal is not to be happy all the time, but to become vibrationally aware and emotionally sovereign, to recognize when we are out of alignment, and to have the tools and self-love to shift ourselves back into a higher state. In this way, vibration and frequency become not just abstract ideas but the very heartbeat of how we talk to the universe, and more importantly, how it talks back. Chapter 4, Letting Go of Resistance, is a deeply pivotal section in the journey of understanding how we truly align with the universe and allow it to co-create our desires with grace, flow, and ease. While the earlier chapters emphasize intention, vibration, and frequency as the language of the universe, this chapter explores what most often blocks our signal from being heard: resistance. Resistance, as described here, is the subtle or overt inner friction that contradicts our desires. It is the doubt, fear, limiting belief, overthinking, control, and attachment that create energetic static and prevent manifestations from arriving, even when our intentions are clear and our vibrations are temporarily high. The universe, being vibrationally sensitive and responsive, cannot deliver our desires when we are sending mixed messages, and resistance is the key reason behind those inconsistencies. The chapter opens by explaining that most resistance is subconscious, learned from early conditioning, past traumas, cultural programming, or emotional wounds that taught us to expect disappointment, to fear success, or to distrust the unknown. The author emphasizes that wanting something badly is not the same as being open to receiving it, because desperation, clinging, and emotional attachment to outcomes are energetic signals of lack and distrust. The moment we say, "I want this," with a tight grip, we often simultaneously radiate the message, "I don't yet have this," and that is the frequency the universe responds to. Letting go of resistance is not about giving up on the desire but releasing the emotional tension and mental gripping around it. It is the practice of trusting the process, knowing that once the intention is set and the frequency is aligned, the universe already begins orchestrating the pathway forward, even if we can't yet see the evidence. The author compares resistance to a dam in a flowing river. Our desires are upstream, but our doubt and control build up a wall that prevents their natural flow. Only by softening, surrendering, and getting out of our own way can the current resume and allow what we seek to come toward us. The chapter also explores how resistance shows up in daily life, in the form of anxiety, impatience, overplanning, negative self-talk, replaying worst-case scenarios, constant checking of results, such as obsessing over money, relationships, or signs, or emotional dependence on external validation. Each of these behaviors, while often unconscious, is a signal that we do not fully trust the universe to deliver without our control. The chapter stresses that trust is the antidote to resistance, and trust is cultivated not by trying harder, but by practicing surrender, an act that feels counterintuitive in a society built on effort, struggle, and hustle. Surrender, as the author clarifies, is not passive or lazy. It is an active decision to stop resisting the present moment, to accept what is, and to believe that the invisible is just as real as the visible. It is choosing peace over pressure and allowing over forcing. The author introduces practices that help dissolve resistance, such as breathwork, meditation, body awareness, emotional journaling, and learning to sit with discomfort without needing to fix or escape it. These techniques help us identify where resistance is held in the body, tightness in the chest, tension in the jaw, knots in the stomach, and where it is stored in the mind as old narratives like, "I'm not good enough," or "nothing ever works out for me." As we bring awareness to these patterns and gently release them, our energetic field becomes more open and receptive. Another powerful method for releasing resistance is through emotional neutrality, learning to care about the desire without being emotionally entangled in the outcome. When we become okay with either result, we become energetically detached, and that neutrality is often the moment the universe delivers, because our frequency is clean, clear, and non-resistant. The author encourages readers to practice the phrase, "I allow this or something better," which signals to the universe a willingness to receive without rigid demands. This creates space for greater outcomes than we could imagine. The chapter also discusses the illusion of control and how our addiction to planning, managing, and forcing timelines chokes the flow of divine orchestration. When we try to control the how, and when we block the more elegant, often surprising ways the universe can deliver. Letting go of resistance requires humility and faith, The understanding that our limited human perspective cannot always see the bigger picture, but that an intelligent force is always working behind the scenes on our behalf. Readers are reminded that sometimes delays, detours, or breakdowns are not failures but redirections to something more aligned. The more we trust this, the less resistance we generate. The chapter explains that letting go of resistance is not a one-time event but a daily, moment-by-moment practice of observing when we are tightening, controlling, doubting, or pushing, and consciously choosing to relax, breathe, and trust instead. This may look like pausing before reacting, choosing gratitude instead of worry, or affirming, "I am supported, even in uncertainty." The author introduces the metaphor of gardening, planting a seed, your desire, and then not digging it up every day to check if it's growing. Instead, you water it with aligned thoughts and emotions, give it sunlight, attention, and presence, and let nature do the rest. Trust the universe. Constant checking, anxiety, and fear that it won't work are the equivalent of digging the seed up over and over, which only slows the growth. The chapter closes with the powerful reminder that letting go of resistance is ultimately an act of self-love. It's about trusting that we are worthy of receiving without proving, worthy of joy without struggle, and that the universe is not withholding from us, but waiting for us to stop blocking what we've already asked for. When we release resistance, we return to our natural state of flow, and in that state, miracles become normal, synchronicities increase, and life begins to reflect the ease, trust, and alignment we carry within. Letting go is not about doing nothing, it is about doing from a place of alignment rather than tension. It is releasing the outcome so we can enjoy the process. It is trusting that we do not have to micromanage the infinite intelligence that governs galaxies and still responds to our heart's whisper. When we master the art of letting go, we don't stop caring, we simply stop fearing. And in that sacred space of surrendered intention and peaceful energy, we become clear channels for the universe to flow through us and to us. Chapter 5. Daily Rituals for Communicating with the Universe shifts the focus from theoretical understanding to practical application, offering readers a concrete framework to develop a daily relationship with the universe that is both intentional and energetic. The author emphasizes that communication with the universe isn't a one-time event or emergency call in times of crisis, but a continuous, evolving conversation that flourishes through ritual, consistency, and presence. Just as we build relationships with other people through regular communication, acts of care, and time spent together, our relationship with the universe strengthens the more we show up consciously and engage in practices that raise our frequency, clarify our intentions, and create a vibrational atmosphere for alignment. The chapter opens by explaining that daily rituals are not about rigid routines or dogmatic steps, but about creating sacred moments each day where we realign with our truth, remember our power, and deliberately tune into the universal flow. These rituals anchor us in the present, remove energetic clutter, and send clear signals to the universe that we are open, aligned, and ready to co-create. The author underscores that these rituals work not because they impress the universe, but because they shift our vibration, center our awareness, and activate our belief, which are the real mechanisms through which manifestations occur. The first daily ritual introduced is morning alignment, a practice of setting the tone for the day by tuning into gratitude, stillness, and intention before engaging with the outer world. This may include silent meditation, mindful breathing, or simply stating affirmations upon waking. Phrases like, "I am aligned with divine timing," "Everything is always working out for me," or "I am in harmony with the flow of life." The goal is not perfection but presence. By starting the day deliberately, we become less reactive and more magnetic throughout the day. The chapter then moves into the importance of gratitude as a frequency amplifier, encouraging readers to write or speak at least 5 things they're genuinely grateful for each day. This isn't about mechanical listing but about feeling the emotion of appreciation deeply, because gratitude is one of the most powerful frequencies for attracting abundance and clarity. When we feel thankful, we vibrate in the energy of already having, and this aligns us with receiving more. Next, the author explores visualization as a communication tool, where we mentally rehearse the life we desire not as a fantasy, but as a reality in progress. Visualizing our goals as already achieved, and feeling the emotions of fulfillment, confidence, and joy associated with them, creates a vibrational blueprint that the universe begins to echo back. The key, the author says, is to focus less on the how, and more on the what and why, what you desire and why it matters to your soul. This imaginative ritual strengthens belief, which reduces resistance and sharpens focus. Another potent ritual is scripting, which involves writing letters to the universe as if your dreams have already unfolded. By narrating your ideal day, upcoming event, or desired life chapter in the present or past tense, you not only clarify your desires, but also emotionally align with them. The universe responds to clarity and consistency, and scripting serves as both. The author also highlights the power of spoken word and declarations, recommending that readers speak their desires aloud daily, into a mirror, during a walk, or even in the shower. Speaking your intentions with emotion activates your throat chakra, your power center of expression, and this creates a resonance that ripples into your energy field. Another central ritual described is intuitive listening, or moments throughout the day when we pause to receive. Instead of just asking, thanking, or declaring, we practice silence and openness to intuitive nudges, signs, or feelings. The universe speaks in symbols, synchronicities, and subtle feelings, and our ability to hear it increases when we make space. This may look like quiet time without distraction, nature walks, or journaling what comes through after meditation. The chapter emphasizes that communication is two-way. Rituals help us speak but also help us hear. The author recommends incorporating movement and embodiment rituals such as yoga, dance, or walking meditation. Since our bodies are energy conductors, moving with presence shakes off stagnant emotions and anchors us into our truth. Movement also boosts mood and clears energetic channels, helping us vibrate higher and communicate more effectively with the universe. Rituals involving nature and grounding are highlighted, as the earth has its own frequency, Schumann resonance, which naturally harmonizes our field. Walking barefoot, touching trees, breathing fresh air, or sitting in sunlight are not trivial acts. They are energetic recalibrations that remind us of our interconnectedness with all life. Additionally, rituals of release are key. The author suggests writing down limiting beliefs, fears, or doubts on paper and then burning or tearing them as a symbolic act of letting go. When we release what no longer serves us with intention, we signal readiness for the new. Other release practices include breathwork, forgiveness journaling, or energy clearing using sound, sage, or visualization. Evening rituals are just as essential, especially for reflection and integration. The author recommends ending the day with gratitude, revisiting signs received, acknowledging wins no matter how small, and affirming that unseen progress is happening. This cultivates faith, calms the nervous system, and allows us to sleep in a high vibration. The chapter also encourages creating altars or sacred spaces, not necessarily religious, but personal spaces that hold symbols of intention, love, and spiritual connection. These spaces become energetic focal points for rituals and help train the mind to shift into a more connected state. The author stresses that rituals are not meant to be overwhelming or lengthy. They can be 5 minutes or an hour, but what matters most is emotional presence, belief, and consistency. Readers are reminded that these rituals are not about performing for the universe, but preparing ourselves to receive it, speak to it clearly, and live in harmony with it. By weaving these rituals into our daily lives, even in small ways, we begin to live from a state of conscious co-creation rather than passive hoping. Over time, these practices rewire our subconscious beliefs, reshape our energy field, and build a steady, trusting relationship with the unseen. This consistent vibrational engagement becomes a sacred rhythm that not only aligns us with our desires but reconnects us to our highest self. Ultimately, this chapter is a call to bring the mystical into the mundane, to remember that the divine responds not just to desperate prayers or once-in-a-while manifestations, but to daily alignment, loving habits, and a heart that is open, clear, and ready to receive. Chapter 6, Signs, Synchronicities, and Divine Timing, delves into one of the most magical yet misunderstood aspects of universal communication: how the universe responds to our energy not only through internal shifts and manifestations but also through external symbols, meaningful coincidences, and perfectly timed events that carry messages, confirmations, and guidance. This chapter teaches that the universe is always talking back to us, not necessarily with words, but with signs we can feel, see, and sense if we are open, present, and attuned to its subtle language. The author begins by explaining that signs and synchronicities are the universe's way of winking at us, showing us that we are on the right path, or nudging us to pause, reflect, change direction, or trust the invisible process unfolding behind the scenes. These moments, often dismissed as just coincidence by the rational mind, become deeply significant when understood vibrationally, as everything in the universe operates through energy alignment and attraction. Synchronicities are not random. They are frequency matches between your inner vibration and the outer world, showing up as chance encounters, repeating numbers, song lyrics, dreams, overheard conversations, symbols, or delays that lead to something better. The chapter stresses that these moments are not meant to be feared or overly analyzed but embraced as affirmations of alignment or invitations to course correct. The author introduces the concept of developing a personal sign dictionary, where individuals choose symbols that resonate with them, such as butterflies for transformation, feathers for presence, numbers like 111 for new beginnings or 444 for protection, and ask the universe to communicate through them. This practice builds a two-way trust, where you set an intention, request a sign, and remain gently open to how and when it appears, knowing that it will often show up not when you're desperate for it, but when you've released control and are in a state of flow. The chapter encourages readers not to obsessively hunt for signs, as that energy stems from fear and resistance, but to remain aware and allow life to reveal meaning at its own pace. A key message is that the universe is not bound by our timelines. It operates on divine timing, a concept that often clashes with our human impatience and desire for immediate results. Divine timing means that what you want is coming, but it will arrive when your vibration, readiness, environment, and purpose all align in a way that supports your highest good. Just as fruit ripens only when conditions are right, our desires materialize when the timing serves our evolution, not our ego. The author explains that delays are not denials, they are energetic recalibrations, pauses for realignment, or divine detours that protect us from settling for less than we deserve or receiving what we are not yet prepared to sustain. This chapter reminds us that the universe often orchestrates behind-the-scenes movements we cannot see, so a lack of immediate physical evidence does not mean nothing is happening. In fact, the more we trust in divine timing, the faster things often unfold, not because time is rushed, but because resistance dissolves and energy flows freely. The chapter offers moving examples of people who received life-changing signs at moments when they had surrendered their struggle, such as seeing a hawk before a breakthrough decision or bumping into the exact person they were thinking about after letting go of trying to force a reunion. These examples demonstrate that when we are in alignment, the universe becomes playful, responsive, and precise in its timing. The chapter also warns against overinterpreting signs from a place of fear, obsession, or superstition, reminding us that signs are meant to empower, not confuse. If a sign causes anxiety, it may not be a true sign but rather a projection of inner fear. True synchronicities are accompanied by a feeling of ease, resonance, and inner knowing. The author recommends checking in with your intuition when you receive a sign. How does it feel in your body? Does it bring peace, clarity, or direction? That feeling is often more important than the symbol itself. The chapter then turns to the idea of closed doors, and how divine timing often involves what feels like rejection, failure, or redirection. These are not punishments but protections, ways the universe says, not this, not now, something better is coming. What feels like a detour is often a shortcut to your purpose, and what looks like an ending is often the beginning of a deeper alignment. The author urges readers to see divine timing as a spiritual GPS, recalibrating based on their growth, energy, and soul lessons. The more we trust this GPS, even when it reroutes us in unexpected ways, the smoother our journey becomes. Trust, again, is emphasized as the frequency that unlocks synchronicity. When we trust the universe, we become magnetic to signs, support, and inspired action. The more we expect magic, the more magic we see. The chapter encourages readers to live in a state of coincidence consciousness, where every moment is viewed as potentially meaningful and every interaction a possible message. This doesn't mean forcing meaning onto everything but being curious and receptive to the hidden order within apparent chaos. A powerful daily practice suggested is asking the universe each morning, "Show me what I need to know today," or "Send me a sign I'm on the right path," and then going about your day without obsessing, trusting that the sign will appear when least expected and most needed. The chapter closes with a message of reassurance. The universe is not silent, absent, or indifferent. It is deeply intelligent, responsive, and invested in your evolution. When we are open to its signs, patient with its timing, and surrendered to its mystery, we begin to see life not as a series of random events but as a beautifully choreographed dance between our desires and divine orchestration. Learning to read the signs and trust the timing is not only a skill but a spiritual maturity, a shift from control to collaboration, from force to flow, from questioning when, to trusting whenever, it will be perfect. In doing so, we deepen our relationship with the universe, and this bond becomes a source of daily guidance, comfort, and inspiration. It is through this sacred language of symbols and synchronicities that the universe reminds us we are never alone, that every step is part of a bigger picture, and that even when nothing seems to be happening, everything is. Chapter 7: Trust, Patience, and Alignment. serves as a grounding and essential reminder that communication with the universe is not a mechanical process of asking and instantly receiving, but a spiritual journey that requires deep trust, sustained patience, and vibrational alignment over time. In this chapter, the author explores the inner qualities that sustain manifestation and co-creation when outer results appear delayed, when signs are subtle or absent, or when doubt begins to creep in. Trust is presented as the foundation of all energetic interaction with the universe. It is the belief that something bigger is guiding us, that the universe is responding even when we can't yet see evidence, and that our desires are heard and held in loving intelligence. Trust does not mean blind faith or pretending everything is perfect. Rather, it means choosing to believe in a friendly, responsive universe even in moments of uncertainty, because doubt and fear are also frequencies, and they often block the very flow we seek to open. The chapter emphasizes that trust is cultivated in small, daily ways, like affirming, "Everything is working out for me," even when circumstances feel chaotic, or choosing to lean into peace instead of panic. It's the muscle we build when we stay calm after a disappointment, keep visualizing after a delay, or show gratitude for progress we cannot yet see. Trust isn't passive, it's the boldest action you can take in a world addicted to control. The author describes how trust aligns us with divine timing by teaching us to wait without anxiety, to move without forcing, and to know the difference between urgency and inspiration. Closely tied to trust is patience, which the author reframes not as suffering through waiting, but as the willingness to allow the necessary unfolding of energy, lessons, and readiness. Patience is not about sitting idly by, it is active surrender. It's the space we hold between intention and manifestation where we don't give up, but we release the need to grip. It is in the space of patience that our frequency evolves, our clarity sharpens, and our belief matures. The author shares that the universe responds not to our impatience but to our vibrational integrity, and that the quality of waiting often determines the quality of receiving. When we wait with resentment or desperation, we lower our signal and interfere with alignment. When we wait with grace and expectation, we become magnetic to fulfillment. Many people give up right before the breakthrough, misinterpreting a lack of physical progress as failure, when in truth, the energy may be reordering itself in powerful, unseen ways. Patience allows miracles to arrive fully formed, not rushed or distorted by our fear. The chapter then transitions into the heart of manifestation. Alignment. Alignment is more than positive thinking or momentary good vibes. It is the consistent energetic agreement between your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions with what you say you desire. To be in alignment means to be a vibrational match to your intention, not occasionally but habitually. The author illustrates that you cannot desire abundance while constantly affirming lack, nor can you ask for love while believing you are unworthy of it. The universe reads your dominant energy, not your words. Alignment means your inner world reflects the frequency of what you're calling in. If your desire is peace, you must practice peace. If your goal is freedom, you must release what binds you mentally. If you ask for expansion, you must be willing to leave your comfort zone. The author reminds us that alignment is not a performance, it's authenticity. You align with your desires by embodying them energetically before they appear physically, which may require inner healing, belief rewiring, or shedding environments and people who pull you out of sync. Alignment also means acting when inspired and resting when guided. Too often, people act out of panic or pressure, mistaking hustle for alignment, when the most magnetic thing they can do is get still and reconnect. The universe doesn't respond to burnout, it responds to balance. When you are aligned, things begin to flow. Synchronicities increase, intuition sharpens, and clarity replaces confusion. You feel supported instead of striving, and even when results take time, your peace is not shaken. The chapter beautifully outlines how trust, patience, and alignment work together like a sacred triangle, each one reinforcing the others. Trust keeps you grounded in belief, patience holds the space for divine timing, and alignment keeps your frequency tuned to receive. Without trust, you fall into fear. Without patience, you sabotage progress. Without alignment, your signal is mixed and the universe cannot deliver clearly. The author encourages readers to use these three qualities not just as mental ideas, but as daily practices. Wake up and declare your trust. When impatience arises, breathe and shift focus. Check in with your alignment. Are your thoughts and feelings matching your vision or are they contradicting it? Are your habits reinforcing your worth or undermining it? The universe is not punishing you when things are slow. It's preparing you. Sometimes what you're asking for requires upgrades in your self-worth, faith, or energetic boundaries before it can fully arrive. That's not rejection, it's love. The chapter offers practical tools for strengthening these inner qualities. journaling evidence of past manifestations to build trust, practicing gratitude as a form of patient receiving, and meditating to realign your energy when you drift into fear or doubt. It also cautions against comparing your timeline to others, as this fractures both trust and alignment. Your soul has its own divine rhythm, and the more you honor that, the more harmoniously life unfolds. Finally, the chapter reminds us that the universe mirrors our state of being. If we trust ourselves, the universe becomes trustworthy. If we are patient with ourselves, life becomes gentler. If we align with love, we attract more love. Trust, patience, and alignment are not just manifestation tools, they are spiritual qualities that transform how we experience reality. When they are integrated, we move from anxious manifestos to peaceful co-creators. We no longer chase signs or fear delays. We become the kind of people who expect magic but are no longer dependent on it for our joy. We live from a place of calm expectancy, knowing that what is meant for us will not miss us, and what misses us was never truly aligned. In this chapter, the author invites us to slow down, root deeply, and live as though the universe is always working on our behalf, because it is. Conclusion. The conclusion of How to Talk to the Universe serves as both a summation and a spiritual send-off, bringing together the essential principles explored throughout the book into a unified understanding of how we, as conscious beings, are constantly in dialogue with a living, intelligent, and responsive universe. A universe that listens, responds, guides, and co-creates with us not through rigid formulas or mystical trickery, but through energy, awareness, alignment, and trust. The final chapter emphasizes that talking to the universe is not a one-time request, a fleeting ritual, or a magical loophole to bypass life's challenges. Rather, it is an ongoing relationship, deep, intimate, and dynamic, based on your willingness to show up fully, embody your desires, speak with clarity, listen with presence, and co-create from a place of inner integrity. Throughout the book, we've been shown that the universe doesn't respond to empty affirmations or surface-level wants. It responds to vibration, emotion, belief, and intention. The conclusion revisits the importance of cultivating emotional clarity, holding pure intentions, and maintaining a frequency that is aligned with what you truly desire, not just what you think you should want. It reminds readers that manifestation is not about demanding from the universe but about dancing with it, not about controlling outcomes but about trusting the process. The journey of communication with the universe begins with awareness. Awareness of your thoughts, feelings, energy, environment, and the subtle ways in which the universe mirrors your inner state through outer events. The author urges us to see every moment as an opportunity to fine-tune our frequency, every challenge as a spiritual recalibration, and every delay not as denial, but as divine protection. As we close the book, we're reminded that we've always been talking to the universe. Every thought, every fear, every moment of gratitude or anger is a form of communication, and the shift now is to become conscious of that dialogue, to participate in it with mindfulness and love. We are no longer passive observers of fate or victims of circumstance. We are energetic beings capable of shaping our experience by the energy we carry, the words we speak, and the actions we take. The conclusion returns to the theme of personal power, not as egoic dominance but as soulful responsibility. The power to shift your reality lies not in fixing the world outside you, but in aligning the world within you. The author reiterates that nothing out there changes permanently until your frequency does. The work is always internal first. This is not a message of blame but of deep empowerment. If the universe responds to your energy, then you always have the power to begin again, to recalibrate, to realign, and to reclaim your narrative. The universe is not punishing or rewarding, it is reflecting. What you put out in thought and emotion is what you invite back. But this is not meant to induce fear or guilt when things go wrong. It's an invitation to become more compassionate and curious with yourself, to ask, what am I believing that is manifesting this experience? Or what can I shift within me to invite in more ease, love, and abundance? The conclusion acknowledges that life will still bring challenges, contrast, and unexpected turns. But it is precisely in those moments that your relationship with the universe is tested and strengthened. Talking to the universe means knowing that even when life seems to be unraveling, something wiser may be unfolding beneath the surface. You don't need to understand every twist of the path. You only need to trust that there is a path and you are never walking it alone. The universe speaks through signs, intuition, dreams, people, synchronicities, and sometimes silence. And the more you cultivate stillness and self-trust, the more fluently you will speak its language. The conclusion reminds us to stay open, not rigid in our desires but clear in our essence, not desperate in our asking but faithful in our receiving. We're invited to live in alignment, Not perfection but congruence between who we say we are and how we show up vibrationally each day. This final message is about integration, taking the insights from the book and making them part of how you think, feel, act, and believe. The author encourages us to live as though the universe is always listening, because it is. Speak with love, because love echoes. Think with purpose, because thoughts shape reality. Act with integrity, because your actions anchor your frequency. And most of all, trust, not just in the universe but in yourself as a divine co-creator. The conclusion closes with the beautiful truth that you don't need to have it all figured out to be in flow with the universe. You just need to be present, willing, and receptive. You don't have to do it perfectly, you only need to show up authentically, align your energy, and let go of needing to control how or when it all happens. When you operate from the belief that the universe is friendly, abundant, and intimately connected to you, your entire reality begins to shift. Miracles feel normal, clarity becomes second nature, and manifestation is no longer a technique, but a natural result of how you live, love, and lead yourself. The final words of the book are both a blessing and a call to action, not to chase the universe but to become the universe in motion, to embody the very qualities you seek to attract, to walk with the certainty that what is meant for you is already on its way, and to know with unshakable trust that you are seen, supported, guided, and deeply loved by a force that has never left your side. In essence, the book concludes where it began, with the quiet yet powerful knowing that you've always had the ability to talk to the universe. Now, with deeper understanding and renewed intention, you are ready to listen to its reply.